Hi again, everybody. I'd like to spend just a few minutes going through how to do some line weight exercises regarding detailing drawings and detail lines. Here again, based on our discussion this morning in class, there are three different circumstances where we might try to change line weights, but we'll have to do it in different ways because each circumstance is different. If there is an object that is in the model, such as this wall, then the wall, the way we'll change line weights on the wall is different than the way we'll change line weights on other things. The second item is if we've drawn something that's only valid in this view with detail lines like these lines here, we will change the line weights and the line styles of these walls in a different manner. And then the third thing is I want to show you that this piece that came in as a family through the detail pathway has to be changed. Its line weights have to be changed, and it's still a third way. So just as a reminder, this piece here is a mask region that we created in class. This piece here is also a masking region, this shim space. This trim piece right here is a region with a pattern in it. So it also has its own properties. So we'll look at it differently. Now, what I want to end up with here is a single heavy profile line around the detail itself, and I'd like to use three different line weights: a heavy line weight, or thick line as they call it in Revit, and then a medium line where the materials butt against each other, and then a light line where we have patterns. Like this cross pattern inside these vertical, these studs, the trimmer studs. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to back all of these lines off to the light line weight, and I'll start that by starting with the model element that's in this drawing, in this view. So I'm going to start that by going to the Modify tab. And in the Modify tab, in the View area of the Modify tab, I'll go to the Line Work icon. I'll click on that. And then I've got Thin Lines selected in the Line Style dialog box. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to click on each of these lines that are in this model piece and see if I can get them to back off to the light line weight view. So all of those change to light lines. That's exactly what I wanted. Now you'll see that I can't get it to work on these detail lines that I drew. These lines are specific to this view and don't show up anywhere else in the model. This piece here that we imported is also only able to be viewed in this view. It is not part of the model. So what I want to do is approach those differently. So I think I'll start with these up here. Now I'm going to use my middle side, my medium lines, which is what this is. If I highlight that, it shows it's a medium line. I've mentioned that I want the perimeters or the edges of my materials to be medium, so I'm going to leave the edges of these studs, but I want the cross hatching in the middle to be light lines, my lightest line weight. So I'm going to highlight all of them by holding down the Control key and clicking on each of them. And then I'm going to come up here to the lines and change it from medium to thin lines. And so that's done that. Okay. So now the third way that I need to change line weights is I have to come down here and I'll have to highlight this family. And I'm going to right click on this and I'm going to come up to Overriding Graphics in View. And I'm going to choose just this element. I'm going to click on the element and it'll give me my dialog box, and this view, since it's a two-dimensional object, is considered a projection view even though it looks like it's in section. So it's a projection view. The line pattern that I want to use is solid. I could use any of these, but I want to use a solid line pattern. I want the color of that line to be black, and I would like for the line weight to be very light, so I'm going to choose 1 for right now. I'm going to click Apply and OK. And that has changed the line weight of that element that's been brought in. Okay, so now all the lines are thin lines except for these that I've left medium. And I've done that on purpose, so I don't have to change them back and forth. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to create a perimeter profile line around this. Now, on top of, if I don't want to deal with having to trim the line up on the edges of this piece that was in the overall model, I'm going to draw over the top of that, or draft over the top of that in my annotation tab. The rest of these, I can almost match the lines. So what I'll do is I'll start with the drawing part. Go to my annotation tab, go to detail line. I'm going to go to my thick line type, wide line as you call it in Revit. I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click here. And the same thing is going to happen down here, so I'm going to go ahead and click there. Now there may be some other places too, but for right now, what I'm going to do is now I'm going to switch over, and I'm going to go back to my detail lines, and I'm going to there's a little bit of a lag with my computer. Okay, now and then I'll go to my pick line tool, and I'm going to pick lines in these parts that I've added in or drafted in that are in just this view as annotation or detail lines. And I can click on each of these with the pick line tool and change their line weights as I go around. Now right here is, I can do this, but it's going to be, it may end up being a problem. I don't know. We'll see. And then I can click here, click here, click here, click here. And then I can continue around the perimeter. I'll go clean those other pieces up in a few minutes. Here, 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 here. And I'm using the tab to help me zoom in or to focus in on any of these particular lines. All right, I'm going to see if I can use my trim tools and trim these up. But first, I can see that this line goes all the way through. I'm going to see if I can cut this line, separate this line with the Modify tab over here at the Split Element tool. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to come here and try to split that element. Then I'm going to use my Trim tool and see if I can't trim those two together. It works just fine. Okay. Now here I'm going to see if I can trim these two and this one to this one. That works fine too. Now if I zoom out, I can see that my profile line is continuous all the way around, which is exactly what I want. Now what I want to do is go back in where material meets material, and I want to increase the value of those lines to medium lines while leaving the hatching, while leaving this insulation, for example, and the cross-hatching pattern and things in my other materials, leaving those light. So I'm going to try to do that with the pick line tool in the annotation tab. So if I go back to detail line, my pick line tool, and change this to medium lines, let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to have to trim that one up a little bit, but I can see that it's going to be working pretty well. I'm hitting tab when it won't go straight to the line that I want. I'm hitting tab until it does. All right, I want to see if I click this line, if it gives me a blue dot at the end. It gives me a blue dot out here, and I'm going to drag that back to the cut mark, to the cut line for the detail. Here's another one. Drag that back. And you might be asking me why I didn't just draw the line so I don't have to go back here and stretch it. That's a good question. I might as well have done that. These lines look like they go on for a long ways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here and I want to separate these, or click these materials and get rid of part of them. And when I click on it, then it should give me the blue dot where I can push and pull the end of the line. And I might even be able to use this multiple trim tool right here. So I didn't think about that. This tool's the same way, so I'm going to go ahead, this line, so I'm going to go ahead there and break that, and then I can highlight the line, grab this and go back, take it to here. All right, so it looks like I missed one right here, so I'll go back and pick that one up, annotate, detail line, pick line tool, medium lines, And then I'm going to hover there and I'm going to hit tab until it picks just that line. And I'm going to go back to modify, split element tool, I'm going to split here and I'm going to split here. So then I'm just going to erase the tails off of these guys. And then I'm going to click the line itself, and grab the end of the line and bring it within the boundary. Okay, that's exactly where I want to be. I'm pleased with the way it looks. It has a profile on all the way around. It's got light line weights for the hatch patterns and medium lines between the materials. That's A work right there. So I'm pleased with that. So that's all we got. Okay.